Hello, everybody. Hi,
Hello.
Serge.
Hi, Nora. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, gorgeous?
We're doing good.
That's good.
Staying hydrated.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That's so important. Gotta stay hydrated, guys. I can't even there's so many things that have happened today. Um, but I wanted to circle back in our talk here now to, you and Laura and the crew uh, were all at the Jimmy Kimmel Studios yesterday protesting because our friend, just kidding, Elizabeth Moss,
A
Joey
kid that
Chate's
grew up in
former friend.
Scientology, very
Yeah,
privileged.
she was born in Elizabeth Moss, the actress, was on. Now I'm going to be honest, guys. I was a little shocked when I watched. It was funny because YouTube just was like organically gave me the interview. Like I'm watching the lives, and then the next video in my feed is the Jimmy Kimmel interview with her. Like YouTube's like, and you want to watch this? Like I was like, okay, sure, yeah, I actually do want to see what happened. So, um, I watched it, and the first thing that shocked me was she is super pregnante, like, not like all the news articles is like, "Oh, it's an announcement. She's pregnant." Like, no, she's gonna have a baby like next week. Like, she's enormous.
And you really have to wonder if this is all part of their scheme of wanting to, really cleanse their image right now. Because it seemed a little desperate to be that pregnant and doing promo right now. It's like,
Well,
Didn't
yeah.
you have do you really have to do that, or is it like desperate
Well,
times call for desperate measures?
let me just say this about Hollywood. I cannot name because we would be here all night, Serge, naming the number of pregnant women who have filmed, got on promo tours, kept, all the things going for years because Hollywood doesn't give a fuck if a woman's pregnant. Oh, we'll just put a box in front of her. We'll just do all these things because it women's pain and suffering means nothing in Hollywood. Now, what was interesting is that Elizabeth is around our age. She's 41. She's going to be 42 this year. Um, and this is her first baby. No one knows right now who she is in a relationship with, if she is in a relationship. Everyone is like, who is the Faja? No one knows. And then suddenly she's just pregnant. Now, there are plenty of women outside of cults who are just like, hey, I froze my eggs. I'm going to make a baby one day because that's what I want to do. Hats off to them. Good job. But as you and I know, this could have like some other weird stuff going on with it because of her ties to the cult and things like that. Like the the wheels in my head are turning
Mhm.
um at a rapid rate. But more so for for this kid, you know, that's coming into the world into this situation that is quite a crazy thing. One thing that Susan Jacobson is bringing out, this is a good question. Are they going to tell everyone about silent birthing? They didn't go over that. That didn't go over well with Katie Holmes when she birthed through. Um, Jimmy, you and Laura were asking very pointedly to get audience members to ask questions. Um, Jimmy asked nothing um, about Scientology. He didn't ask about silent births. He gave her suggestions to bring music, and she wasn't like, "Oh, no, 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 can't have sound." She was like, "Oh, that sounds like a fun suggestion." I was like, "You're gonna play music in the hospital room while you're birthing the baby? You're gonna be bumping some tunes? You're gonna have like a DJ like, like I don't think so. I don't think so. Like what? Can you imagine like a Scientologist being like, "Oh yeah, let's get a band up in here. Let's
I
That's
mean,
not what
it's
you're supposed to do.
all very produced. It's all very intentional. And I mean, it's how these things work. I mean, what Laura was saying about the contracts are already laid out. This is what you're
Right.
talking about. This is what you're not doing. This is what the segment is going to be. The questions are all very organic, but it's like
Mhm.
the whole thing is like, oh yeah, let's talk about the very hot doctor, French doctor. I mean, we
Oh,
wonder if
yes.
he was a mandated reporter, if he was screened by Scientology to make sure that if he saw anything weird, he wouldn't be reporting it. Because as we know, that's the
Well,
type
she
of
was in
level of
France.
crisis management that these people are willing to do. It's like
Yeah.
there is no boundary they won't cross. And it's disturbing. It's disturbing that people have been allowed to work like this in this capacity. I mean, in the literal celebrity center where you worked, Nora, that you would know when
Yeah.
people talk about MK Ultra, it sounds real weird and it sounds real like, oh my God, it's got to be really like, it must be having some weird things stuck into your brain. And it's like, it turns out that it's just a bunch of pathetic losers leeching onto the celebrity, spying every single second, but
Yeah.
also like canoodling and cradling them at a level that is so ridiculous and unfounded. I mean, as if Leah Remini didn't tell us that, if somebody Tom Cruise needed a coffee, you needed to get it in 5 minutes, even if the place was 10 minutes away. Like figure out
Yeah.
how you make 10 minutes to five, you
Oh,
know.
100%. My question was, because you guys brought this up yesterday, um, like people being assigned to, like handlers and things like that. Like, I recall back in the day when, Katie Holmes was with Tom Cruise, she was assigned a friend who was in fact a SEERG member, um,
Who's in
Jessica
fact my
Feshbach.
student, Jessica Feshbach.
Yeah,
In
Jessica
fact, my
Feshbach.
student as a
Right.
minor at the FSO, Jessica Feshbach, that
Yes.
had a lot of money, that would tell
Well,
me all
she's
about
from
how
one
her
of the
favorite
no,
brand
not
was
Thumbs
Bottega
Up.
Veneta.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jessica Feshbach that married Andres Rodriguez, the case supervisor,
Yes.
senior case supervisor, Mexican
Before she
guy,
married Tommy
the
Davis.
same guy that, was abusing, saying minors, that Debbie Cook
Yes.
was very well aware. Molly was her name, Andres. So don't play dumb that you don't know what in the hell we're talking about. We do know what in the hell we're talking about. We remember her literal name, Molly, and she was underage. And this
Yeah.
was spread all around the FSO. So these were the handlers that Katie Holmes was getting for herself. Jessica, the one that married that man, that literally had a record of it. And,
Yeah.
he did float his needle somewhere along the line. And then all of a sudden, that didn't matter. And she was married to a self admitted PEDO, but
Yep.
it doesn't matter. It's just like we cannot say enough how it doesn't matter, because I don't think people almost kind of believe in what world can it be that outrageous, right? Because it's like all these other organizations, Nora, get plausible deniability.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
oh, well, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. No one is checking, no one is asking, no one is having them self incriminate, right? Like,
Right.
including with Larry Nassar. Well, what happened? What didn't happen? Like, no one goes and sits him down for 5, 6, 7 hours and gets it all video recorded, transcribes it all. And then all of a sudden, where is the plausible deniability that these people are claiming they have on not laundering the crimes? Because in what world do you do a 2-week course inside a hotel and all of a sudden you are literally holding court for this BS?
Yeah. No, it's completely it's bonker doodles. It's completely ridiculous. I mean, it's just, you have to do more to get a driver's license, frankly, than you do to be able to get people to confess the sins of their whole existence as a
The
spiritual being.
felonies. It's called the
Yeah.
felonies. It's not even called the
Yeah.
sins. The sins is what they say to wash it away, right?
Right.
Because it's like if they were asking, have you committed a felony for which you have not been arrested? They weren't interested in a sin. In fact, if you gave them something wishy-washy, you were told, well, dig deeper. Or in fact, if they had a dirty needle, you guys, if the needle just went like that and they said, oh yeah, I took $5 from the table the other day. Okay,
Right.
well, take another look. See, is there something there more that you done? I mean, what are you thinking about right there? What was that thought right there? I don't know. I thought about my mother. Okay, something that happened with your mother. Well, I mean, it's just It's
Yeah.
outrageous.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's insane. Um what I think is interesting um for that is that, for her, because she was born in, her dad was already in the celebrity realm, right? And I didn't know he had passed away, right? I was like shouting at you in your chat that I thought that the guy waiting by the car was her dad because it looked like him from far away.
Mm,
I
no,
didn't
no.
realize that because I'm not following any of this celebrity news stuff, guys, because I really don't care. Um, but I didn't realize that he had passed away, and RIP to Ron Moss. You
But do
know,
you know the story about him?
right. So he was Chick Corea's manager, and he had been Chick Corea's manager for many, many years. And for those of you who don't know who Chick Corea was, Chick, massive jazz mastermind,
Grammy award winning. That was
Grammy
the big
award winning,
thing about him.
jazz man, and also a very long, loyal Scientologist. Would come and play at all of the Celebrity Center galas, and also just like a nice guy. He was. I don't have anything bad to say about Chick Corea. I wasn't a super fan of his music. I'm in general, and this will
Okay,
probably
but
be
what was
very
the deal with
controversial.
his?
Is it?
What's the deal with Moss?
So Ron, at one point, Chick Corea, for whatever reason, went broke. Right? He had no more money.
Not
Um,
not for whatever reason, because he was a manager of Chick Corea. He was the
right, and
one in
so
charge of all of that
well,
stuff.
at some point, Chick Corea just wasn't cool anymore. Like he wasn't selling a lot of records, and he wasn't getting like record deals. Right?
Sure, but
That
there was a lot of
happens.
mismanagement going on behind the
Right,
scenes, and it was known.
right. So Ron got a lot of sec checks. He became the Who, and he got ordered by the church. You're formally disconnected from Chick. You can no longer be his manager. Like Chick wasn't actually firing Ron. Chick didn't think that Ron was actually the problem. This was orchestrated by the church. They said,
Well,
Chick,
and again, it
Ron
speaks to
is
the babysitting, Nora, because
right,
again, Chick was a celebrity, and he was the
right.
one that was going to go bankrupt, and he was the one that was
Mhm.
going to create a PR flap. So it's like that's what. Oh no, then
Yeah,
let's treat him like a baby while we do
right.
all the handlings. They did that with Lisa as well when she was getting back. Like they were all up in these people's
Oh, no,
business.
no, no.
There's
Yeah,
no
you can't.
boundaries. There's no
Yeah,
privacy. There's no agency.
yeah. No, so you can't. Yeah. So they bought his old studio, the Mad Hatter Studios, to turn it into like a secret production studio, like all the glitz and glamour stuff that they would put out from the round the world, blah, 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 blah. It was like this secret little studio that they had in Hollywood. They bought that from Chick for undisclosed amount, bajumba juba jumba dollars to get him out of the bankruptcy. He had to fire Ron and formally like disconnect, but Ron couldn't get declared because Elizabeth at the time was a massively rising star. I think this was during her like beginning of Mad Men time, and she was like on this rocket ride to stardom. So because Elizabeth had like created this sort of like bubble of stardom and protection around him, they weren't going to declare him because he was still like, I love Scientology, Scientology, Scientology. Um, they were like, okay, we're not going to declare you because you're a good boy, but you cannot hang out with your bestie ever again. You cannot talk to him. So even on his deathbed, he was like, he spent the rest of his life trying to get back in good graces with Scientology to
Mhm,
continue doing Scientology and to like reconnect with Chick, which never happened.
mhm.
Um, so it's just, uh yeah, it's not, and yes, Chick Corea has gone through waves of popularity and other things. Yes, mismanagement of funds. That's not always all on the manager, guys. Sometimes people don't know how to manage their own money too. So
Well, no, but let me add more
there's a
to
lot of
this. Let me add more to
stuff
this
that
because I have
happened
more
that you
information.
know.
First of all,
Go
it should
go
be
for it.
known that Chick Corea was employing minors. Okay, Luke B. Let's call him Luke B, who was 16 years old from Clearwater, who was being taken all around the world to work on his tours as a literal underage
Yeah.
minor. This was not a kid in the Sea Org, okay? But this was a minor that was in his tour because he was one of my students, so he had to get LOAs. Oh, I need to really go work with Chick Corea. I need to
Right.
fly around the world. So minors were being pawned off to celebrities because it was such a great deal for Scientology parents to be like, oh, isn't my 16-year-old so cool to be flying around the world as a minor? Because no one's going to care, right? No one's going to question the celebrity. Why is this 16-year-old here? Oh, no. You know, again, all Scientology kids were very brilliant. They were very adulticized. The 16-year-olds didn't look like 16 years olds. And just like that, no one gave an F.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have to really get into like, all of this disgusting dysfunction just continues to proliferate no matter where they go, because they couldn't be more unhinged. They couldn't be more delusional,
Yeah.
really going with the pitch that kids are adults,
Well, that's
you
my
know?
question for Elizabeth Moss. My question is, now that she's becoming a mom and having done that myself, grown a human inside of me and birthed them, um, that process changes you in a biological way, forever, but it also changes your perspective of life. Okay. Um, in a truly, like, there's not enough words to describe it. The moment that you birth another life and you realize the magnitude of what you now have responsibility for, especially having gone through what we went through as kids and knowing what I was going to be protecting my own children from, and what I would never let them encounter. That was a tremendously huge responsibility for me. So my questions for Elizabeth would be like, okay, so how what age are you going to start auditing with your kid? You know, and have you had conversations with this Thetan prior to them accepting the terms and conditions of the body that you're creating? Have you been in calm? Have you, reached out and, touched them in a session while you were fully exterior? Like, because you and I have both talked to Scientology parents, and maybe our own parents. My mom never told me this story, but like I have heard so many times where Scientology parents are like, "Oh, you came to me before you were born, and we had a whole conversation, and I just felt your brightness, and I just knew you were the Thetan that I wanted for this body, and you picked me." And it becomes this
The "you
weird,
pick me" could not be more
right?
disgusting, you guys,
Like
because
it
it's just,
just,
it gets so weird and it does get used and
oh,
weaponized against you because, you
always.
know, you're always told, like, "Stop complaining. Aren't you so lucky that you have this technology that we're teaching you? Aren't you so lucky that we're literally giving you ethics handlings at 6 years old?" So, this whole "pick me" thing, I mean, it's so good that you bring it up, Nora, because it was so, I mean, it's the same thing with my parents, like, anytime you complained, that would be thrown on your face. "Oh, aren't you so, you're so lucky. Do you know what other kids go through? They don't have the technology. They don't have all of the things that we're teaching you and all of these things that are going to make you so much better and superior than everyone else." And again, it's like when our brains were 5 or 6, like nothing make a shred of sense. I mean, not that even made sense later, but it's like it's taken us till now to understand just how unthinkable and disgusting it was that they were using that type of, sadistic intellectual abuse of minors, because that's what it's called. It's intellectual abuse when you're adulticizing a child and forcing concepts down their throat because you're pretending that they're an adult. And the ones that get punished if you're not living up to the expectation of being an adult is always a child. So they don't ever have a way to escape that.
No, it's just it creates a strange power dynamic, I mean, there's already a power dynamic between parent and child
Indefensible, I would
anyway,
say. Like, it's not just
you know.
strange, you guys. I mean,
Yeah,
strange,
right.
sure, we could do strange, but
But
it's
you know what I
literally
mean? Like, there's already like,
indefensible.
I mean, I go through this every day. I have 4 teens basically. So I go through the like, listen, I'm telling you to do this, and why? Why? You're like, ugh, don't get me started on that. But it's like, I never say to my kids, well, you picked me, so you're stuck with me, right? Like, and that's never a conversation I'm having with my kids. Like, well, you're too bad. Like, you picked the crazy one. Like, that's not the conversation that we have. Um, it's just, like this other dynamic of now anything that I do to you that's bad is because you picked me is so Scientology because anything bad that happens to you, why? Because you did it. Your PTS, you pulled it in. So if I'm a bad parent, it's because you picked me. If I don't know how to properly take care of you, well, you picked me. You saw what I was up to. You're an immortal being. You should have figured it out. Like what? Like I'm just a person. I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid who's trying to like figure out if I should have Cheerios or like watch some cartoons. Like I wasn't what?
I mean,
you know,
again, their brains are in such a different level of brain waves. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. And again, we were told that if, oh no, your brain is nothing, you're not an animal, you're a spirit. Remember, you're not an animal. Psychology
right.
tells you you're an animal, you're not an animal. So anytime that we thought that they were being weird, they would just flip it on us and be like, no, you're not an animal. So, I mean, imagine that that's how we were being raised, being told that we weren't animals. And aren't we so lucky to be called ageless spirits?
No.
I mean, that's just unthinkable and disgusting. And it's like, where are the parents repudiating any of this, Nora? Because that's what I really want to start understanding. It is the year 2024. And
Right.
where are the repudiations from parents that were all about this? They don't want to be told that they were wrong. They don't want to be told that they were delusional. They don't even want to be told that we're abusive. It's like, oh, well, we weren't a cult. I mean, relax. And it's like, that's
Yeah.
why we're here. Because you know what? What type of integrity and moral high ground do they really have when they know that every stupidity that they did for themselves is still being done to more kids without a shred of guardrails? They would know. They should know. I mean, some of them even have grandkids now that they could be like, oh, I effed up here, baby. Oh, look, they aren't ageless spirits. Maybe I really should come off that pitch right about now.
Yeah.
But they won't come off the pitch. They don't want to
No.
be told they're wrong. They just want to, pretend that, they were having a jolly old time. And if David wouldn't have just ruined it for them, then they would have had a great time for the rest of their lives and into eternity and saved a planet.
Yeah. 100%. I want to address something that came up here because it's being discussed in the chat. So do you truly mean to disorient your watchers who for whatever reason never had children? I don't think now Doxy, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you mean disorient. Like, am I trying to like leave out people? I definitely not. I mean, listen, I have friends who are childless on purpose. I
Me
respect
included.
and Serge included. Listen, what I say to my friends of all ages, and I've had coworkers of many different ages, and because I have children, they have all asked me like, "Hey, should I have kids?" And my number one question to people who ask me that question, "Should I have kids?" is, "Do you want kids?" And they're like, "I don't know." And I say, "Okay, are you like," and we have a very long discussion. But basically the questions that I always ask somebody who's asking me that is the number one thing is, do you want to have kids, or are you feeling like pressure from your family to like live out some legacy or something else, or some other external like societal pressure or whatever? Because kids they're not an item that you can return to Nordstrom's. They're not something that you can ignore. They are living, breathing, actual humans that you have to care for 24/7. They will crush you like, like we've seen these confrontations with protesters. I have literally survived a cult that almost caused me to unalive myself more than once. Um, and my children have broken my heart more times than that. Okay? Because children, and I love that I would rip the beating heart out of my chest and put it in their body if they needed a heart, okay? That is how much I love my kids. I would jump in front of vehicles, I would run into a burning building, I would do anything for them, but no one will ever say anything as mean to you as your own flesh and blood, to just and just annihilate you. So having a kid is wonderful. It's awful. It's scary. It's difficult. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all faking it till we make it. And on top of that delicious cake that I just described, which sounds so much fun, um, I am overcoming not only generational trauma, which I'm discovering after like talking to parents and family and other things, but super fun sprinkles, cult and PTSD. So, trying not to pass all of that deliciousness on to my children has been a super fun journey. So when I have tremendous respect for people who don't have kids because that's their personal choice. Because unlike me, Serge has all of the personal time that he wants to himself to do whatever the fuck he wants all the time, and I have to.
Not even, or I mean, for me, it's not even
No,
about
but
that. It's not that I
no,
have
but
a
I'm
lot of
just saying
personal
in
time for
general, this
myself.
is
It's just that I am very aware that I do not have not ever been in a position to be that, because I've had a ton of messes to sort out. I mean, it's just we don't have a regular upbringing. Our entire formative years were destroyed. It's like,
yeah,
to reconcile everything I talk about, well, it didn't just happen overnight. I've had
yeah,
to do a lot of therapy. I've had to do a lot of heavy lifting. I've had to do a lot of studying. Like, it's not like living it up is going to do it. And it's like, I just know that I
no,
would not be able to. I mean, I'm still trying to sort out so much from over here that it's like it's not even something that I consider even possible. It's just unfathomable, and especially after the childhoods that we went through,
yeah,
it doesn't make sense, and it's like it's fine, we don't all have to have kids. I love to see my friends that do have them and that they've been able to heal so much from that, and there's been a wonderful side of that they've gotten for themselves, but it's like, you know everybody
yeah.
can have their own journey. I mean, that's what it is. Like, you choose, you make that choice. Like you said, it's a big choice to have them, and there is no point of no return once you do have
No,
them.
there is no point of no return, and the other thing is that, like, because of the upbringing we had, there's a
Mm,
lot of ignorance that I went into having kids with, right? Like, there was because of the things that we believed, okay, about bodies, about us as spiritual beings, okay, and things like that. Like, I truly did not believe that anything physical, outside of like diabetes or other things like that like I did have some knowledge of science could like be passed on, right? But like mental health problems, that's not real. That wasn't real. So I didn't believe that those things could be passed on. Um I wasn't even thinking about that. I hadn't even entered into therapy. Generational trauma, I didn't know anything about that.
mhm.
Um, and all these other things. And I've told my kids very candidly, and I've told this story before that if I hadn't had my kid, especially my oldest son, um, at the time that I had him, I probably wouldn't be here now. Only because it was there was a lot going on for me, and I was very lost, and being able to know that everything about me wasn't broken, that I could still do one thing and create a life, that I still had the power to do, like, one good thing, gave me a reason to keep living.
A lifeline, that like sounds like a
Yeah.
literal lifeline.
It in he you know, yeah.
And yeah,
And
I mean, I feel you about that because again, it's like the minute you start reconciling the receipts and the truth, you guys, is unthinkable. The anesthesia wears off.
yeah,
Everything comes crashing down on you, and the level of betrayal is just abominable. Like we wouldn't wish this on our worst literal enemy. And that's why we keep talking and talking and talking because like you said, Nora, it's like in what world would you ever want someone to wake up one day and be like, oh no, it was all just an MF lie so that
yeah,
people could exploit and destroy our families.
yeah,
That's all. And
yeah,
they're all destroyed. They're all ravished. No one's family survived. No one's family is intact. And the
no,
ones that are so called intact inside of the hotels have all manner of dysfunctional dynamics playing out, you know? And again, I've said it enough, and I'm just going to keep saying it again and again for the people in the back playing dumb. They're slaves and they're slave masters. There's people that are here that are not really that affected because they do affect manipulation on others. They do get props that no one else gets. They do get benefits that no one else gets, like Lizzy Moss.
yeah,
Perfect example. Like
yeah,
she's not a victim. She's not pressed to leave. Why would she leave if she's got all manner of minions running around the second she sneezes? Like they're why?
yeah, yeah.
Why
I
would she
mean,
leave? They're not inconvenienced by what's been literally made for them to, you know, all these minions telling them all day long, oh my God, you're so amazing, you're so OT, you're so theta, you're so wonderful, you could do no wrong, you know? And meanwhile, Liz Ferris working at the president's office, you're a piece of shit, get on a diet, stop eating, you're disgusting, and
yeah,
you're representing us here, and you need to be on a size zero skirt, otherwise, you know, you're out PR, and you know, and go clean up the mess that just happened at a restaurant because some Scientology celebrity did something and now you have to go clean it up. Like, in what world are teenagers being used to clean up the messes of adults, celebrities? Because again,
yeah,
that's the type of work that was expected from Liz Ferris to be done when she was working at that disgusting celebrity center. And it's just like, why was she used like that? And then going back to what you just touched upon, Nora, and I'm trying to, like, you know, take from you because I just feel your pain. So I get it, you know. But you know, Liz ended up at the same place. We
yeah,
all ended up at the same literal place, you guys. The coping unhealthy AF mechanism was, oh, this can all just end real quick. Just a little skip off the Fort Harrison, skip off here. Like,
yeah,
our minds would be literally using that as a way to be like, okay, well, you know what? There is a way, you know, the bleach. I
yeah,
mean, it's just like, no, like,
yeah,
no one is a volunteer. No one is a volunteer inside of those disgusting hotels. And yes, they're slave masters and they enjoy it. The predators love it. In fact, they're the ones that are pressed to be told no. The ones that are getting all the benefits on the backs of the slaves, the children that are made into slaves. Yes, they're pretty. You have to be pretty. You have to be good looking. Otherwise, they have you, you know, shoved off somewhere. And, you
yeah.
know, and those,
Well,
the
and
people.
Elizabeth has been exposed to this since she was a small child. It's like she and you know, she saw kids her own age running around in the uniforms her whole life. And now those kids who are her age at the time are adults. So she's known some Sea Org members like her whole life. She grew up with them,
Mhm.
right? And she still sees other kids that are Sea Org members. So the kids being Sea Org members is just normal. That's regular. And so
Regular
that's my other question
smegulars.
for her. Is your kid gonna join the Sea Org? When are you gonna be okay with them getting handed a billion-year contract? You know, because people often
No, it's
ask,
in
like,
fact very
how
rare that celebrity kids ended up in the Sea Org. I mean, there were some exceptions, but you
yeah.
know, it was when Riley Keough showed up to the base. Oh, she's off limits. Don't recruit her. She's off limits.
I
Like
mean, Tom
literally,
Cruise's
she
son ended up
never
on
would
staff
get recruited.
for,
All she
like,
had
2
to do is
seconds.
no, and then the president's office would
Yeah.
come, and she would have defenders. Don't recruit her.
Oh, yeah,
Don't
yeah,
touch her.
yeah.
Don't talk to her. She's too important. She's about to get real famous for us. And
Yeah.
again, it's like these studios, you know, I mean, that is what Scientology is. It's a stable of celebrities that all get benefited on the backs of the slave labor of kids.
Yeah.
That it's rich, that in this year 2024, they're still just being given the full benefit of the doubt. That, oh no, it couldn't have been slaves. It was just all volunteers inside of that hotel.
Yeah. No, it's just and the other thing that I sent it to you earlier, like what people don't understand is like how do all these kids end up in the Sea Org? Like not all of them are born into the Sea Org, like like Lara was or Jenna. Um
Or I
or yeah, or you were
in
born into
Mexico. I mean,
right.
the
I mean, they
Mexican
just
Sea Org. I mean,
right, right. So not
Destiny
everybody's born into it.
had it in it for me. I mean, it's like,
Right. Well,
ugh.
what ends up happening sometimes is like, let's say, just regular and regular Scientology people have a kid who's of age, like 10 or older, that's getting recruited by the Sea Org, and the parents get pressured into saying like, yes, let's let our kid go do this because it's their purpose in life, and what will end up happening, especially if they get recruited to be, human trafficked across the country or to another country or something like that. If the parents live in California and this kid is going to go be on the ship and be in international waters, obviously the parents aren't then going to be like cruising around the Bahamas with their kid for free. That just is not going to happen. So they will sign over their parental rights. They will sign away all their parental rights to a guardian in the Sea organization. They will basically, that kid will then kind of get adopted by another human in the Sea Org, and those parents will then no longer have any parental rights to their own child. So, and this has happened, guys, where a kid joins the Sea Org, okay? Their parents have now signed over parental rights to Sea Org member Joe. Sea Org member Joe usually never sees that kid ever again. It's just some rando person who got assigned to be this kid's guardian. They never see them, they never check in on them. Joe doesn't even know this kid's name. Okay. The parents then go through some shit, guilt, whatever. Their marriage crumbles and falls apart. One of the parents eventually leaves Scientology and is pissed and now wants to see their kid. Well, legally, they sign a very legal document that says they're no longer their father or mother. That kid is now Joe's kid. And they cannot now challenge that in a court of law because Scientology has them sign that very legal document saying, I don't have any more parental rights to my own kid. And they cannot then like demand, hey, I want my kid back. So that kid will never know any of this is
Well, and
going
in
on,
fact, when they're
you know?
demanding that, guys, in any way, like for example, with Alesa Paris, her mom, perfect example.
Right.
Her mom was in the Sea Org, brought Valeska there. Then the mom leaves the Sea Org, leaves the girls there, and
Left both their daughters.
expressed about Scientology because, oh, they really took a lot of money from me, or whatever
Mhm,
stupid
mhm.
thing she had to say for herself. It wasn't her kids. She wasn't pressed about that. She was pressed about something about her and her money or whatever, And then all of a sudden, Valeska's disappeared to be locked up in a ship, in an asbestos-ridden ship that all the leadership of Scientology is 1000% aware of, and they don't give an F to do anything. They just keep sending people to that asbestos disgusting ship where their passports were locked up at a level that, sometimes at the FSO, some people could maybe get away with like the passport not being grabbed back here and there or whatever. But at the ship, it was like there was no other way. You couldn't get in or out without that document. Like there were literal NAZIs about it. And it's just outrageous, but again, I mean, the parents saying that they really thought we were going to save our world. I mean, again, it's just ridiculous. I mean, maybe that's what in the hell they were telling themselves to justify. I mean, to use their little term right back on them. That's how you justified it. Oh, I really got told that you were going to have a great time. Well, really, did we really have a great time there? I mean, in what type of straight face could you, any of the Scientology Sea Org parents and adults today that expose their kids to this can really say in the year 2024 that they had no shred of clue about anything and that they were not aware of the culture that was going to go on inside of those hotels, since pretty much all of them took a visit. I mean, so much so, Nora, that if a kid had a parent that was antagonistic or had a problem or had a connection at the FBI, oh no, you cannot save the world, bye. So everything was hand selected. Like, oh, you can save the world because both of your parents are so into it. But
Yeah.
oh no, we might have a problem. We'd rather not even have a problem, and that's how they're crisis managing. You know, it's like, oh, this one, yes, this one, no. This one, a lot of liability, this one, no. So it couldn't be more premeditated and disgusting because they were targeting minors. These hotels couldn't have operated with our literal work. So the slave masters on the back of kids just sat on us with their foot on our neck, telling us to work harder and save a world and make more money. And here's a quota for $100,000 that you have to make. Otherwise, you're washing dishes at the end of Thursday. That wasn't the vibe that they used to lure us in. So don't worry, you
Definitely
guys.
not.
That was not the vibe. At first, it was, aren't you so special? You're really going to save a planet.
Nobody told us about Thursday at 2, guys. That was never mentioned. It was
Well, I mean,
just like,
I knew about it because I was part of I was doing the courses before that, right? So I was in on the game because everything's pitched
yeah,
as a game, you guys. And that's why I keep saying the adults are infantile degenerates, self-made. Oh, we're playing a game. Well, it's an adult game at best, an adult game at literally best. And no one wants to come and interrupt y'all's game. We don't give an F about y'all's game. If Elizabeth loves getting locked up for herself for 5 hours and she really wants to tell everyone that that's what she gets off on, who gives an F? Who gives an F? Like, who's going to be really wanting to come save her from that? She's consenting. She loves it. She's been doing it since she's a child. And, you know, she really has plenty of interviews where she says she's just all about it, you know, but plenty of kids that weren't in her entitled, powerful position didn't have that great of a time, including Reese, relatable Reese, including you, including Liz Ferris, including Sergio Blinsky, including Aaron Smith-Levin, including myself, Laura, Miriam. I mean, as if we don't already have, like, literally how many hundreds of examples of the ones that have lived to tell, of the ones that are not stuck in this unthinkable dynamic where their parents are like, well, don't speak any shit or otherwise you're going to get disconnected.
right.
And then they can't speak because you know what? They deserve being part of that or otherwise they cannot be part of a family. So plenty of second, third, fourth generations right now are in that in between lives era where they cannot have their spine because anytime they do, the adults are very inconvenienced about it.
Yeah. No. I wanted to answer this question because I'm trying to keep up. The chat is going wild about a lot of things, but what
We have
checks
to
are
wrap up
done on the
soon because
people?
I have to
Yeah,
go.
I know, me too. But what checks are done on the people that end up being guardians, i.e., police checks, background checks, etc.? Guess what? None. There are
I mean,
none.
like you
There
said,
aren't
Nora,
even.
it was such
They're
a
saving all mankind. That's the check.
yeah. Exactly. In fact, they purport that everybody there is so ethical because their backgrounds couldn't have been more checked. I mean, the type of background check these people do is enormous. Never mind that if they did catch one that had a problem, they figure out all manner of hotel handlings they do to fix that problem, including self-admitted PEDOSs. Oh, he already did a
Yeah.
floating needle on that. He already had that needle floated. So never mind, he already got rid of that aberration. So self-admitted felonies and propensity to be a complete lunatic
Yeah.
was just, oh, an aberration. Go
Yeah.
ahead, post them as a letter reg. You know, like they did pick them. They did choose them. Oh, you know, they weren't going to put that person in RTC. Oh, no, they're
No.
disgusting. They're this. We know everything about them. So everything was about, you know, doing these thorough background checks, completely being implicated on everything about the person, knowing everything.
And also how the person looked and behaved around other people. If people were not great looking, guys, they were put in the basement. They were basement people and they did the basement jobs. Okay. Or they were like in housekeeping, like in grounds,
Gardening, housekeeping,
gardening,
hotel, like the
housekeeping,
literal
hotel.
hotel
Literal
operations.
hotel tasks. And then if you were good looking enough, then you could be like in public facing jobs. And if you had good communication skills and stuff, the better your communication skills, and the better your con skills, let's be honest, then you got higher up. And if you could do the like face, I can't do it. Sometimes
The
I can do it when
resting
I'm
bitch
like in
face.
mom mode,
That's
the
what you need
fucking
to
resting
have.
bitch face,
If you
right?
have really good
Serge, when you
resting
were
bitch
in that
face,
live,
then
like doing like a white glove inspection on that fucking building, and you were like, "What is this? Is a fucking OP like flunk?" Like I like, like I flew back.
people be scared of you guys.
I
Seriously,
was
they go, "Oh, hi,
like,
sir."
you guys have no idea. Serge is all like giggly in his videos, like, "Oh my god, you guys, what's happening?" Like when Serge was Serge in the Sea Org,
No, I can still have
you
it
did
in me.
not
Believe
fuck
it or not,
with
people be
Serge.
scared in my chat sometimes. They're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa."
No, like when Serge is mad about Scientology, and this is the difference, guys. I just want to say this because we've been bitching about a lot of people who, in our opinion, are not pointing um their lenses of truth outward and inward and using their knowledge to shine lights on things that need to be have the light shone on them. Okay, when we are mad and we are upset at Scientology, right? We're pissed at Scientology. We're pissed at our oppressor, at the thing that fucked us, right? When these people get upset, they get upset at us. They get upset at individuals who feel are wronging them, who are accusing them of things, who are, not doing it the way it should be done, and all of this other stuff. They're not actually mad at the institution that is continuing these crimes that we are describing that happened to us. And that's the difference. That's the problem in a nutshell.
Mhm.
And and that's the differentiation. Um that is frustrating. And I know somebody brought it up, and I'll go over it with you later, because to open this nut right now, we would be here for the next 3 hours and both of us have to go. So I'm going to go over the super chats, but somebody asked earlier in the chat, have you seen Mark Headley's latest post? And I hadn't. So I pulled up his community tab and I quickly browsed through it, and it is 3 different posts, part 1, 2, and 3, that are all like this long on YouTube. And they are a doozy. And
Well, yeah, but you know what, Nora?
and
Like at the end of the
I
day,
know
when I think
partially,
about it, I go, it's like, you know what?
it's
Who
pointed at me
cares?
because
Show us
it's based
action. Don't
no,
show
no.
us words.
Oh,
We
no,
are
I know.
very so
And I know
used to
it's
your
partially
words.
pointed
We're
at
very
me.
so used to you talking and yapping and, oh, shouldn't you just be so grateful for what we've done? And it's
Right.
like, we're
And
in
I
the year
will
2024 and you're being confronted with exact things. So instead of just writing and writing and writing and typing, if y'all are not pressed, that we're just a bunch of keyboard fleas, then you really shouldn't be pressed at all. Because you know what? Our opinion shouldn't even matter to y'all. Seriously. And if not, then go do the work. Then show us the actions. Don't type any more things. We don't give a shred of an F what else you want to type. Like nobody has time for it.
I think you said it beautifully, my friend. I think you said it beautifully, because I know part of it. I mean, listen, and I will take responsibility. I have said things. I stand by the things I've said. I don't, and I'm glad, they put some receipts of, their actions. I don't know why it took 20 years for you to say some of those things that have said in a retort to us asking what the fuck. But, great. But anyway, what this is, it will definitely get responded to in a longer form. I just was like, I didn't want to let it fly by and not say something about it. I'll just quickly go through the starred things here. I know there's other stuff coming in, but I'm going to go through these things that I set aside. So, do Thetans choose a body of a baby that's already a fetus and get to choose the Church of Scientology parents, or do they choose the parents and therefore they become pregnant? Are there Thetanless babies? Okay, so usually, how it usually goes is somebody's pregnant, and then according to Hubbard Lafayette, like the Thetan and the body come together at the moment of birth, right? Like they join, they become one at the moment of birth. You know, a Thetanless baby would be unalive. Unfortunately, that would be a stillbirth. So, yeah, if there's no life force to drive the baby, that is very sad. So, yeah. Does she have to give a silent birth? Well, according to, if she's like a true believer, yes. Yeah. So we'll see. Or she's going to do what Bill Murray said and play some music and jazz it up. I don't know. Serge, this one is for you.
Thank you, Super Pop.
From Super Pup. Serge, you are amazing. Thanks to you both for all you do. Of course.
Thank you for always supporting.
And this is just from Amy Lee SP, a super sticker. Thank you, Amy. That is wonderful. And Super Pup again. I posted a comment on JK post with EM, her quote rundown regarding her broken back. She kept working. Yeah. Despite a broken back, she saw a doctor. He touched her and she was fine. Touch assist?
Seriously, I mean, it didn't make any sense, you guys. I'm like, is she full of literal SIHIT or what in the hell? Because the story made no sense.
Right. She's like, I broke my back, and then I saw a French guy who smelled of cigarettes and leather, and then
no. The French guy was for her pregnancy, I thought, because
this was the broken back guy.
That happened in Istanbul at the rooftop when she was doing some sort of stuff.
I got confused.
And then she couldn't get off the stairs, and anyways, yeah, nothing made sense, you guys.
The whole thing, and then Jimmy Kimmel was like, "Wow, you know, oh, you'll have a story to tell your kid one day. You worked with a broken back." Like, yeah, guys, yeah. I mean, so what?
I'm sure that Hollywood just lets multimillionaire actresses just keep working with a broken back.
Tom Cruise didn't even keep working with a broken ankle. Like, you know, on Mission Impossible, they had to shut down filming. You know, so yes, I know you have to go. I also have to go. It is that magical time of night, guys, where I have to walk my dogs, as you guys know, who tune in to me in the evening. Listen, it's I'm so excited. I keep repeating it every time that I talk, but I'm so excited to get back to LA. I actually haven't been to LA in 7 years since I left to move up here to get married to my beautiful wife. Yeah, I'm excited to hang out with you. And I have Serge, look what I have. Look what I have right here.
Bullhorn.
I have a bullhorn, my friend. I'm gonna bring it down. I got one of my fans bought that, and I'm gonna bring it down.
How nice of you guys.
We're gonna be scared. I know.
Those are the little things that just mean so much. I mean, it might seem real stupid, but it's like, imagine getting your first bullhorn when you've been told your whole life to shut the F up. Imagine literally getting that. It's like Christmas all over. So I'm really proud, and I'm glad that you have that. It's really good, because you should, you know.
I'm gonna practice with it up here before I come down. You know, and
take yourself to the forest and scream at the trees.
Well, I mean at Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Just roaming around Oregon forests, like, Scientology is a cult. Like,
yeah.
No, it's gonna be.
You know, the protest was good. I mean, I'm sure that, you know, Jimmy Kimmel and all of you guys, you know, so much supporting us and showing up and leaving those comments, and you know, we're allowed to leave feedback for stuff, and that's what this is called. And everyone's getting feedback, so don't act like you're high and mighty and you can't take the MF feedback. Take the note, and literally just take the note, and stop trying to deflect and project and call everyone a flea and whatever in the hell. You literally, I don't know. I mean, it's
I
just,
know. It's
we were
insane.
pissed at
I got
times,
into
and then I'm
an
just like
argument with
laughing
my
at it.
mom about that letter, by the way. She like called me and was like, "Is this a real letter? Because I am friends with Ford on Facebook." I was like, "Mom, are you friends with Ford or are you Facebook friends?" And she's like, "Well, we're Facebook friends." I was like, "Okay, so you're not real friends. You just like know somebody on Facebook." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "Why do you think this is a fake letter?" And she's like, "Well, he broke both of his hips and he just barely got home like 3 days ago from that. Like last week, he got home because he's been
What?
in rehab. No, like literally, he broke both of his hips and he's been in rehab for a month, physical rehab." She's like, "How could he have written this letter?" I'm like, "Mom, if he broke
Oh
his
my
hips, he can
God.
still type." And she's like, "Yeah, but he's been talking nonstop about all the pain he's been in, and he's been on all these painkillers and blah blah. It would make sense that he's writing a crazy letter." And I'm like, "Listen, if they're paying him money and
There's
he's
fair
on
game. There you
drugs
go, you guys. Fair
and he's
game
on
still
drugs,
literally being used now to wreck his image. I mean,
right?
yeah, I mean, I couldn't have been more shocked, to be honest. I was flabbergasted. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I never expected him. It's like, yeah, I mean, I know I said, like, I was pissed that I told him all this stuff about the kids, but I've also understood that, it's like we as victims can feel a certain type of way and be in our feelings about something, but that doesn't mean that he owes anything to me. And I'm aware of that. But,
Right.
when I saw this, defending the problem that I felt, I had at least made him aware of it, right? That's all I can do. Like, hey, this is going on. And then I was like, he can choose to do nothing. And I mean, I don't have a way to do anything about that. That's not what I have a right to do. But
Yeah.
when we have this information about this girl having these problems and not getting her affidavit and not getting help to do what
No.
she needs to do, that's where it becomes like, well, what in the hell is going on? Like,
I know. And
honestly.
and I'm not ignoring all the comments about Miriam and the questions and Rabbit. Here's the deal. I don't want to oversaturate. Like Serge did a brilliant thing breaking that down today. Aaron and Sterling did a brilliant thing. Liz Gale did a brilliant thing. The deal is this: Miriam will speak on Friday. She is going to speak with Rabbit. Rabbit didn't disclose the questions because she's going to go over all of that on Friday with Miriam, and the lawyer apparently question mark didn't disclose those questions when he wrote back to
Mhm.
Rabbit. So it's not that no one is disclosing these questions. The questions are the tea's coming out, guys. Don't worry about that. Rabbit's gonna go over those questions with Miriam. Why those questions? All those things are going to be answered. Okay. I just I did a tiny thing about Miriam this morning. I don't want to steal Miriam's thunder. I am team Miriam 150%. I want her to be able to tell her story in her words. Um, I want her to get her justice, get her questions answered. Um, it would be the best case scenario that Mike grows a pair and just fucking answers the questions. I don't know that will ever happen. But I look forward to Friday
And isn't his right to
to
not
finding
answer
out what the
anything? I mean, we
questions
know
even
that as
were.
well. It's his right to not answer a
It
shred of
is.
a thing. He can
It
literally
is.
listen to everything we said and answer nothing and say nothing, and it's within his right. We can be pressed, we can be upset, we can be mad, and we wish he would say, well, but we are allowed to call out what we see. That's what is being done.
Right.
Like, that's the only thing that's happening
And
here.
I
That's the
agree
only
with you,
balance we're
Matt.
having.
I agree with you. Uh, The Aftermath Foundation lawyer should not have responded when it was addressed specifically to Mike Rinder. I feel the same way. Mike should have retained his own counsel if he so chose. Or he could have just sent a letter back to Rabbit saying, no comment. Or
Or
said
literally
nothing
nothing.
at all.
Literally
Said
just
nothing
nothing.
at all. Just like, this is a YouTuber. I don't feel like I don't even
I
know
mean,
you. I
he's
don't
been
know
known
you.
to do that. You believe me, you guys, like, he's been known to pick and choose what communications he censors. So this is not his first rodeo either.
Oh
He's
no.
a very well-seasoned crisis manager that knows everything about this. And the
No.
only problem is now he's been caught with his pants down and he doesn't like it. And if you soil your pants in public, you cannot just throw air freshener and expect that everyone's gonna go, oh yeah, it smells real great now. What the hell? Like,
Well, also,
literally,
as you remind us every day, Serge, we are in the year 2024. And
2024
and
is the
and
year. Like,
it's
maybe
guys,
before it
guys,
helped,
it's
maybe before
2024.
air freshener real
What we have
quick.
to remember is that Mike and all these other guys that we mentioned that we name drop constantly were trained in Hubbardology. And he came up with this BS in, 1950, guys, when faxes weren't even invented. Okay. People were still sending things by telegram and telex machine and all this other, outdated technology that doesn't even exist now. And so the tactics and other things, yes, get that rose water on there, honey. Gorgeous. And the tactics and everything else that doesn't exist now. They're still playing by that ancient playbook. This is the internet. This is live streaming. This is a totally different way to get information from place to place. And they are not playing in this playing field. They are trying to keep it in a newspaper in an envelope, and nobody's reading the paper. So they are not winning this war with
Well, and again, it's called,
newspapers,
have some
articles,
integrity.
and
Like, if you have
stuff.
integrity and you can stand on your word, then you shouldn't have to go through all of these manipulations and posturing and whatever. I mean, that's, Aaron brought this up. It's like, nobody cares. Nobody cares what your background looks like. Nobody cares what type of mic you use and how the angle is going to show you as very relatable. I mean, that's what is being done with Elizabeth Moss. Oh, go there and have a fancy onesie and show the pregnant woman so we really can say that these, protesters are the bad. How dare they go after a pregnant woman? It's like, we didn't even know she was pregnant, first of
We
all.
didn't know. I
We
had
don't
no
care. We
clue.
have our
She
exercising
hasn't.
our
You
rights.
guys, it was
So,
breaking news for the world that she was pregnant.
all
Literally
right, you
every
guys.
news outlet was like, Elizabeth Moss announces her pregnancy on Jimmy Kimmel. Nobody knew she was pregnant until she walked out on that stage looking like she should have an OB walking behind her because that baby's going to fall out of her hoo. Okay. Like, nobody knew. Nobody knew. So it wasn't like we were like, oh, good, she's pregnant. She's vulnerable. Let's get her while she's huge. Like, we didn't know. We didn't know. Okay, now we're really going to go, Serge. Somebody just accused us of doing a Midwestern goodbye because we were like, okay, goodbye. And now we're going to talk about 400 other things because this is us, guys.
See
We
you
can
guys
just be like,
extremely soon. Don't y'all worry about it. You're gonna get sick of our face soon enough. You're gonna be like, no more lives.
no, Serge and I could literally talk for like
No.
500
We
hours,
love
but
you
he's going to
guys.
go.
Thank you so
I'm going
much.
to go. We're going to
Yes.
see you guys tomorrow, probably forever for the rest of our lives. We love you very much. Okay. Do this.
Bye-bye.
Bye.